Well, an Austin businessman and associate of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton took a plea deal in a federal financial crimes case. Now, Nate Paul is facing up to 6 months in prison. KVUE senior reporter Tony Plohetsky is joining us now. You've been following this legal battle really since it all started. You're here with the developments. Tony, let's first start with what happened in court today.
So, Ashley, this 6-year running case that has drawn so much attention was over essentially in about 15 minutes. And during that time, it was announced by federal prosecutors in open court that most of the charges would be dropped against Nate Paul, but that he was pleading guilty to one charge. That count is making false statements to a financial institution in order to obtain a law. And that was the basis for most of the case against Nate Paul, that he had made those false statements to financial institutions across the country and, in fact, worldwide.
And, remind us, because you said a 6-year long. Sometimes it feels like it was that long, and other times it's hard to imagine that it's been going on this long.
Right. I say 6 years because we first reported in 2019 that his downtown office and home were raided. It was not until far later, in fact, 2023, that the actual charges were brought against him.
Yeah. Now, I want to take a step back and I want to remind people about the link between Nate Paul and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
So, Ashley, keep in mind, we were reporting on Nate Paul and the federal investigation involving him long before we knew of his relationship with Attorney General Ken Paxton. At the time, Nate Paul had been profiled by Forbes magazine. He had been considered an up-and-comer in the profession that he was in. But then the very next year, we learned that about allegations that Ken Paxton had been helping, allegedly, Nate Paul in this federal investigation. Nate Paul went to Ken Paxton, according to the allegations, and asked for help. And what happened essentially was the foundation of the impeachment trial last year against, or in 2023 against Ken Paxton, is that Paxton received a benefit from helping Nate Paul. Of course, as we know, the Senate did not convict Ken Paxton in that case. It did trigger a federal FBI investigation into Ken Paxton, but actually as it stands right now, that case has seen no charges against Ken Paxton.
Yeah, we haven't seen any action on that. Tony, talk to us about what comes next in all of this.
So what happens now with regard to Nate Paul is that federal officials are doing a pre-sentencing investigation. And then they will present that in court, and then the judge will then sentence Nate Paul. I do want to add, as part of the terms of this plea agreement between he and federal prosecutors, Nate Paul faces up to 6 months behind bars, Ashley.
Okay. Any word on when the timeline for all of that?
Yeah, it could be several weeks
before
at
it all
least.
happens. Yeah.
I also just want to mention that we have asked, as of this week, I asked Ken Paxton's attorney if there's any insight or any indication about whether or not the FBI is continuing to investigate Paxton. He said he has no information whatsoever about that.
Okay. We know, though, that you will stay on top of it for us, Tony. Thank you.
You bet.